THE HALL AND THE WOOD by William Morris. 1809–1849 'Twas in the winter dwindling tide, when July days were done, Sir Ralph of Greenhowes 'gan to ride in the earliest of the sun. He left the white walled burg behind, he rode amidst the wheat, The westland gotten and blew kind across the acres sweet. Then rose his heart and cleared his brow, and slow he rode the way. And then it was, so it is now, not all hath worn away. So came he to the long green lane that leadeth to the ford, and saw the sickle by the wain shine bright as any sword. The brown carles slayed 'twixt draught and draught, and murmuring stood aloof. But one spake out when he had laughed, "God bless the greenwood roof!" Then o'er the ford and up he fared, and lo, the happy hills, And the mountain dale by summer cleared, that oft the winter fills. Then forth he rode by Peter's gate, and smiled and said aloud, "No more a day doth the Prior wait, while stands the tower and proud." There leaned a knight on the gateway side, in armour white and wan, And after the heels of the horse he cried, "God keep the hunted man." Then quoth Sir Ralphie, "Amen, amen," for he deemed the word was good. But never a while he lingered then, till he reached the netherwood. He rode by ash, he rode by oak, he rode the thicket round, And heard no woodman strike a stroke, no wandering wife he found. He rode the wet, he rode the dry, he rode the grassy glade, At wood end yet the sun was high, and his heart was unafraid. There on the bent his rein he drew, and looked o'er field and fold, O'er all the merry meads he knew, beneath the mountains old. He gazed across to the good green Hoe, as he smelt the sun-warmed sward. Then his face grew pale from chin to brow, and he cried, "God save the sword!" For there beyond the winding way, above the orchards green, Stood up the ancient gables grey, with near a roof between. His naked blade in hand he had, o'er rough and smooth he rode, Till he stood where once his heart was glad, amidst his old abode. Across the hearth a tie beam lay, unmoved a weary while; The flame that clomb the ashlar grey had burned it red as tile. The sparrows bickering on the floor fled at his entering in, The swift blew past the empty door, his winged meat to win. Red apples from the tall old tree o'er the walls rent were shed, Thence oft a little lad would he look down upon the lead. There turned the cheeping chaffinch now, and feared no birding child, Though the shot window thrust a bow of garden rose run wild. He looked to right, he looked to left, and down to the cold grey hearth, Where lay an axe with half burned heft, amidst the ashen dearth. He caught it up and cast it wide against the gable wall, Then to the dais did he stride, o'er beam and bench and all. Amidst there yet the high seat stood, where erst his sires had sat, And the mighty board of oaken wood the fire had stayed thereat. Then through the red wrath of his eyne he saw a sheathed sword Laid thwart that wasted field of wine, amidmost of the board. And by the hilts a slughorn lay, and there beside a scroll He caught it up and turned away from the leyland of the bowl. Then with the sobbing grief he strove, for he saw his name thereon, And the heart within his breast uphove, as the pen's tale now he won. "O Ralph, my love of long ago, draw forth thy father's blade! and blow the horn for friend and foe, and the good greenwood to aid. He turned and took the Slughorn up, and set it to his mouth, and o'er that meadow of the cup blew east and west and south. He drew the sword from out the sheath, and shook the fellow brand, and there awhile with bated breath and hearkening ear did stand. Him seemed the horn's voice he might hear o'er the wind that blew o'er all. Him seemed that footsteps drew anear, or the boughs shook round the hall. Him seemed he heard a voice he knew, or a dream of while agone. Him seemed bright raiment towards him drew, or bright the sun's set shone. She stood before him face to face, with the sunbeam for her hand, as on the gold of the holy place the painted angels stand. With many a kiss she closed his eyes, she kissed him cheek and chin. E'en so in the painted paradise are earth's folk welcomed in. There in the door the green coat stood, o'er the boughs went up the cry, "O welcome, Ralph, to the free greenwood, with us to live and die." It was bill and bow by the high seat stood, and they cried above the boughs, "Now welcome, Ralph, to the good greenwood, and welcome, Kate the rose." White, white in the moon is the woodland plash, white is the woodland glade. Forth wend those twain from oak to ash, with light hearts unafraid. The summer moon high o'er the hill, all silver white is she, and Sir Rafe's good men, with bow and bill, they go by two and three. In the fair greenwood, where lurks no fear, where the king's writ runneth not, there dwell they, friends and fellows dear, while summer days are hot. And when the leaf room from the oak tree falls, and winds blow rough and strong, with the carles of the woodland thorps and halls, they dwell and fear no wrong. And there the merry Yule they make, and see the winter wane, and fain are they for true love's sake, and the folk thereby are fain, for the ploughing carle and the slaying herd, flee never for Sir Ralph. No barefoot maiden wends afeard, and she deems the thicket safe, but sore adread to the chapmen ride, wide round the wood they go, and the judge and the sergeants wander wide, lest they plead before the bow. Well learned and wise is Sir Ralph's good sword, and straight the arrows fly, and they find the coat of many a lord, and the crest that rideth high. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.